Okay, for question number 15, I'm looking at a graph. And what I'm doing anytime I have a graph is I'm trying to figure out if it's a function or not by using the vertical line test. So if I have a vertical line, a straight up, straight down line, and if I pass that through my graph, it should only cross my V-shaped graph here, in this case, only one time. So if I go through the whole graph, it's only crossing my line, my vertical line, in one place at a time. So in this case, it is a function. Excuse me. So my domain is going to be all the possible x and y values using interval notation. So a lot of people want to say, well, my graph is going to be where my line crosses my x or y axis. Domain and range have nothing to do with where your graph crosses at your y or x axis. What domain is its lowest possible x value to your highest possible x value. So if my graph is continuing in both directions, because that's what the arrows mean, it means that it's getting wider and wider and wider. So what's going to happen if it gets wider and wider and wider? Is it ever going to stop going side to side? Well, the answer is going to be no. So no matter how far I go, my graph is going to keep getting wider and wider and wider because it goes on forever. That means I'm never going to have a lowest x value or a highest x value. So in this case, my graph is going to negative infinity to positive infinity. And you remember from class that infinity always has the parentheses when you're using interval notation. Now my range is going to be the lowest possible value to the highest possible value for my y values. So if I look at my graph, where does my graph, the lowest it can possibly go? Well, it's stopping right here where y equals 0 on the line. So I know that my lowest value is 0. Can it include the value 0? Well, yes, it does include the value 0 because it's right on the 0. There's no open dot there, so I'm going to use a bracket that we learned how to do in class to show that it is included. Now let's look at the highest possible y value. Well, my graph is, if it's growing forever, is it always going to keep going up? Well, the answer is yeah. So if I can never stop going up, it's going to go to positive infinity. And again, infinity signs don't use brackets, they use parentheses. So that is my domain and range for that graph.